Hello world, it's World's End Tarot here. And I've just been thinking recently about what the change in the seasons does to us. For those of us living in the Northern Hemisphere, it can be a time that is a little difficult because the days get shorter, the nights get longer, and sometimes we're finding our days begin when the sun hasn't even gotten up yet. So I wanted to do a reading, keeping in mind when I take long walks in nature, I wanted to bring that feeling of connectivity to you, hopefully through this video. So today I'm going to be using for our pick a card reading some cards that are themed with the idea of forest. And the hope is that I'll be connecting with the spirit of the forest to give us messages about our current situation and what spirit wants us to know. So here are your choices. Taken from the Sacred Forest Oracle deck from Denise Lynn, we have our choices for 1, 2, and 3. So let's have a closer look at 1. We have the butterfly spirit coming in with transformation. For 2, we have the toadstools and growth. And for 3, we have the maple spirit, generosity. Now, if you choose with crystals, just give me a second and I will add the crystals in. So for group 1, we have the white howlite. For group 2, we have the dark, almost black, green jade. And for group 3, we have So for group 1, we have the white howlite. So for group 1, we have the white howlite. And for group 2, we have the black, almost black, green jade. And for group 3, we have the carnelian. Take your time, let yourself be guided to the message that you need to hear today. Take a couple of breaths in and out to center yourself, and then click on the timestamp of your reading below, and I will see you in your reading. Hello Group 1, welcome to your reading. You chose the Butterfly Spirit and the White Howlite. So let's have a little dive into the forest and listen to the messages that are coming to you now about your current situation. I'm using the new Oracle deck from Lucy Cavendish and Dan May. It's called Into the Lonely Woods, and I really like this deck. So let's find out. For pile 1, please. What can we say about pile 1's current situation? I think this one's coming up. So you have drink from your own well, water your own garden. To start. And this is the Enchanted Forest tarot that I'm using now. Asking for Group 1, please. Messages they need to know right now. We have 7 of Visions coming up for you right now, pile 1. We also have the 10 of Challenges. We have the 4 of Spells. And we have the Hermit as well. Let me give you a little bit of a closer look at the 7 of Visions. The 10 of Challenges. And the 4 of Spells. And the Hermit. As you can see, there's an awful lot going on in your cards. I'm also going to use Prisma Visions to round off the rest of your reading. Messages for pile 1 about their current situation, please. Thank you. We have the 6 of Cups coming up, the 6 of Chalices. We also have the Knight of Wands. And we have the Page of Swords. So pile 1. The first thing I want to say about the situation is it is not as rough as it may feel. And I can see that it's feeling rough. And I can see that there is a feeling of being alone. It's interesting because we have this idea of being alone coming through here with 10 of challenges. And at the same time, we have this comfort of being alone coming in with the Hermit. And I can see why this is becoming a point for you of transformation. Because there's so much going on in your head about what to do next, where to go from here. But what I am seeing at this point in time from Spirit is an encouragement of you actually enjoying the moment and really enjoying what you have at hand. It seems to me like you have an unusual moment of time where you're able to see things clearly, and it's almost as if you're not choosing to take that. It's almost as if you're fighting that because it isn't exactly what you were expecting. It isn't exactly what you felt you wanted. And there seems to be kind of an argument going on here within yourself and with Spirit about where you should actually be at. And this seems to be kind of a sit-down moment for Spirit to sit with you and try and change your perspective on how things are feeling and how things are. The reason I'm saying that is because there's just so much imagery going on in these cards about overcoming and being someone who knows what they want, being brave enough to be happy with what they already have, and to challenge some of the belief systems that they have been almost entrapped by. There's an entrapment of mental anguish in these cards, pile 1. I'm seeing that coming through with the 10 of challenges here. It really is this moment of exhaustion. And there is this ripple of despair going through that in this part of the reading. And it's just not necessarily quite the truth. That's what I'm seeing here. The Page of Swords is in a position where I can see that it's almost as if there's this character that comes up from you to cut away some of these belief systems which are not true. They feel true, but they're not true. So there's such beliefs that I'm done, I can't go on, there's nothing that I can do, I'm a failure, I'm lost. And these types of feelings that are coming up here in this 10 of Challenges card are really being challenged by this Page of Swords card. It's really saying, actually, no, I'm going to take up my sword and I'm going to cut myself out of this. I'm going to get myself away from this mental prison that I have built for myself. Pardon me. That was quite timely. I was just about to say, the 7 of Visions is almost the exact thought illustrated in a card. It's like this figure here is thinking really hard about what to do, and we have the 7 of Visions coming up here. It's almost as if we don't quite know where to go next. And so this would make sense if we're in a period of transformation. This is a period of transition from one thing to the next, from one aspect of the way that we're living our lives to the next aspect. And I feel like with our oracle cards, this is really illustrated as a thing that is good for us. It's an opportunity for us. This uncertainty that we are dealing with in this moment is a really beautiful opportunity for us. And this is a time for us to really take stock of the things that are important to us and start to really understand what our goals going forward are going to be. So this oracle card is speaking here, drink from your own well, water your own garden. I'm really feeling like this is a time for you to prioritize your own needs, that this is something that you have maybe been neglecting, that you haven't really been thinking about how best to serve yourself in this current moment. So I'm going to have a little look at the book here from this new oracle, because there is something really beautiful about the way that this oracle deck has been written, along with the artwork. It really is evocative, and I just want to read this to you just now as we're looking at this card here. When we are alone, we learn how not to take our inspiration or sustenance from others. We do not drink from their wells. We do not feed from their cauldrons. We do not need anyone else's energy to generate our own. We can create our own energy and find the source of the spring within us and begin to drink from that and discover who we are when we are most ourselves. Within you is the spring. Drink from it. Within you is the garden. Water it. Find the source within you. Do not seek inspiration elsewhere. This is not the time for that connection. Now is the time to follow the path until you discover the grail of the self and become your own light. This is a challenge, this upper part of our reading here, pile 1, because this is, if this is the challenge here, and by challenge I mean it's a dare. Spirit's daring us to go deeper. It's daring us to really go there with our thoughts, to really actually challenge ourselves with the belief systems that we've built up around ourselves, and to really look within and to prioritize the way that we are processing our lives and our situation. It's really asking us right now to challenge ourselves. That's the way out of this, particularly here. This is the way to transform, is to try something new with our mental state. The thing is, though, it's not all so serious, and I'm sorry if it's coming across like it's a serious thing, but it's only because I can recognize that this is pretty profound reading. The cards that you've got are profound cards. There is definitely a challenge to change in here, but there's also a reminder about the things that are really, really sustaining us, that are giving us sustenance, that are giving us comfort and life and joy. And this is coming through with the second amount of cards. Is this an energetic side to this? So I can see that Spirit is giving us a path to use, to challenge ourselves with. We have this Four of Swords card coming up here. This is a celebration card. It's a really beautiful expression of joy and life and adventure. Let me see the book as well from Enchanted Forests, because sometimes they have really lovely stories of fairy tales and I don't know them all. So with this card here, this is a party of sprouts. I said sprouts, I mean sprites. They're making their way to the top of the fairy mound at twilight to join those that have already gathered there. It's an annual reunion where each woodland flower clan is represented and honoured. Some other forest beings, namely the trolls, scorn such festivities, which in their eyes serve no practical purpose, but ritual is important, as it is remembering to reconnect with what is most precious. Gathering with friends and family, setting aside any quarrels or strife, benefits everyone. They can resume their argument tomorrow. Tonight is just for dancing. This card says it's time to party. Whether in recognition of a milestone such as a birthday or another rite of passage and achievement that deserves to be honoured, or just having made it through some hard times, create a celebration that expresses the delight you have in living. Giving some structure to your merriment makes it more meaningful and memorable. Dressing as your favourite flower, for example. So yeah, we have this idea of routine coming through with this particular card, and this is what I was thinking of when I was reading that out to you just now, I was thinking of routines. I was thinking specifically of nighttime routines, of this ritual of getting yourself happy and warm and safe where you're about to lay your head to rest, as a way of nurturing yourself after a long day. And I'm also seeing this idea of making sure that you're giving yourself the opportunity to celebrate any small wins that you are achieving at this moment in time. Really, truly could be any type of win. Something that you've promised yourself that you'll do, and then completing that task, that will count. So I really need to painting the gate, that's a win. I really need to bake that cake, baking that cake, it's a win. These are something even as simple as deciding every single night I'm gonna draw myself a hot water bottle and I'm gonna place it in my bed so that when I come into bed, I'm really happy and I'm comforted and I'm safe. And just doing that for yourself every single night. These are the acts that are going to be getting us to the point where we are able to come into the energy that's coming here, which is the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands energy is really talking about that extra piece of energy is going to be coming our way. It's a creative energy, and it's also a very brave energy, a very active energy, but it's not going to come from nowhere, because particularly for those of us who are really resonating with this 10 of Challenges cup here, especially as the seasons change, it's particularly easy for us to think, oh, I haven't achieved everything that I wish I had achieved this year in 2022. Or whenever you're watching this, because this is a timeless reading, and I really do feel like that's something I really need to remind you guys of. This is a message that comes to you when it needs to come to you. So it may not be actually as soon as I've uploaded it, maybe later that you're watching this. This is to do with looking back at the last couple of months or even years and just thinking, I'm not where I should be. And I'm worried about that, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think, and I feel certain ways about myself that I don't recognize. I feel like I'm not doing well. This is about actually transforming that particular energy into this particular energy. This Knight of Wands energy is where we are headed right now, and it's in this reading, there is a reminder that that's always been there. No matter how difficult things feel, we still are walking through the world with this Knight of Wands energy within us. And part of the way that we get there again is remembering that we're allowed to have fun. We're allowed and we deserve to have fun and to connect with people. And also to really, with the Six of Cups coming in here, to really observe those moments where we are blessed. And I mean that in a very basic way, like truly just expressing ourselves in the world the way that we do, the way that we show up individually and also as a collective. The fact that we're here together at this moment in time is wonderful. And I think that sometimes when we get lost in ourselves, we get lost in the minutiae of the everyday, we forget that. So this is something here in this reading that Spirit is talking to us about, being more celebratory about the fact that we're here, the fact that we are just extraordinary in every single one of our unique lives, the way that we're showing up for ourselves and for others around us. In this particular reading, we're showing up for ourselves first. This is what this card here is about. This is about you putting yourself first, really devoting time to those questions that you have, and the fact that you know now that you need to prioritize healing time, because otherwise it's going to be harder for us to transform in the way that we wish to. And I see here that you have an abundance of personal strength and creativity to enable that transformation, pile one. I just want to go a little bit deeper as well into this because I just want to, for no other reason than I want to. I think I'm gonna use another few cards from Prisma Visions to just ask for a last little moment from Spirit to guide us towards advice, I would say, going forward. We have the sun. This is a loud and clear message that what I was talking about with the everyday joy is the way to get to that transformation. Secondary to that, we have the Three of Pentacles coming through, and we have the Ace of Wands coming through. This is about taking small, consistent, practical steps to finding your joy in the everyday. It's also the way for you to start, cultivating new ideas creatively as well. If you're a creative, if you're an artist, happiness is one of the ways for us to problem solve and to transform. And so this is almost like the first building block for getting you to the place that you want to be. It is to really go deep and work out what is it that makes me feel happy? What is it that is rejuvenating me? What is it that heals me? What can I do for myself just on my own without anybody else? No kind of energy going into looking to others for validation, but truly just looking towards ourselves. How can I make myself happy? How can I get there? And it's really, truly in the every single day, appreciating what is there and taking gratitude for what we have and letting ourselves take little steps slowly along the way to rebuild where we're looking to get to, rather than having this moment where we're really ruminating and indulging actually in all the things that have not gone right and that we are worried about. That's not the way for us to get back on our feet again. And I feel like just now with this sun card coming up here, it really was just another reminder from Spirit that the way out is through joy. What makes you happy? What makes you feel comforted? What makes you feel safe? Those are the answers to this transformation. So go there. Go feel safe. Go feel comfort. Go feel joy in the everyday, pile one, because you deserve it. And you are wonderful and perfect the way that you are. And you are going to be getting through this and you are going to be fine. And if you enjoyed this reading and you were resonating with it, please subscribe. I will be uploading more readings for you and I hope to see you back here. But until then, pile one, see you later. Hello, pile two. Welcome to your reading. You chose the growth card with toadstools and the jade. So let's get into your reading. I'm using Into the Lonely Woods as our first oracle card deck. It's by Lucy Cavendish and Dan May, and I really love the art and what's written in the book for these. So let's just see what Spirit is suggesting about our current situation for pile two, please. We have the consolidations of isolation coming up for you, pile two. Let's give you a closer look at this beautiful card. And then I'm going to be using the Tarot of the Enchanted Forest. Let's find out what else is going on with pile two, please. Let's tell us more about this situation. We have the wide world. And we also have Five of Boons. We have the Seeker of Boons. And we have the Eight of Boons. I'm also going to be looking at the Prism of Visions Tarot to end our reading as well with this a little bit. Let's see what's going on for pile 2, please, and their situation. Yeah, this one here. Ah, we have the King of Pentacles coming through for you, pile 2. We also have the Six of Swords and the Emperor. Your cards make me smile, pile 2. They have a really beautiful energy going through them. There's something very optimistic going on in here. And I think that's really important because I think there is definitely aspects where if we chose to, we could really fold into a place of scarcity. And I can see that there's resistance to that within these cards. There's a perspective change going on in these cards here. And I really do think that that's speaking to this idea of growth coming through from the toadstool, because if we know anything about toadstool, they do really well when in situations where other plants and, well, toadstools aren't technically plants, they're a type of fungus, but they really grow beautifully in situations where other living things would not grow very well. They really grow up from, to be honest, when something passes away in this planet, in death, toadstools are the first things that really start breaking that stuff down. They're one of the most exciting organisms on the planet. And I don't know, there's something very exciting about this card here, and this idea of growth coming out from circumstances which ordinarily we would see as maybe bad in quotation marks, but the optimism of new growth is really what's coming through in your cards, pile 2. And I see that as soon as we get here with the Seeker of Boons. This is someone who, I mean, she's looking at toadstools on the side of this tree, in my opinion. She's getting inspiration and joy and excitement and power from the toadstools, from the new growth in this forest. And then we see this figure coming through next, using materials that they have found in the forest to make new things. This is another example of growth in a physical sense, but also just like in a mental sense. I can see this woman in the forest making the best of it, especially when I see this Five of Boons card where we have this idea of scarcity in like the deep midwinter, not being able to provide and feeling frightened and not having shelter. It's like a huge development that we see coming through all these cards. And then this is carried through again into another iteration of growth with this King of Pentacles card. This is about somebody who is growing through adversity. Really, truly growing through adversity and letting adversity open up their world so that they can see new perspectives, so that they change the way that they feel about themselves, so that they change the way that they feel about the planet and where they fit in it. It's honestly extraordinary, pile 2. Let me see a little bit more about this particular card here, because I love this card and this book is beautiful. And I want to share what they have written about this card here. So let's listen. Seclusion can feed the spirit, and with that nourishment comes a rebirth. Well, yes. So many people and beings take themselves away from society and people, from the chatter and the gatherings and the beautiful noise that is our collective. The sense of being separate for a time is nothing to fear, for you are separate. You are unique. You are experiencing multiplicity through the oneness of your being. Being alone can heal us and bring us back from the dark place that is loneliness, a state that we can experience even when amongst others. The comforting, healing qualities of solitude are yours, and these arrive spontaneously, unscheduled, without artifice. Your spirit desires you to breathe light right through your entire being until you shine with the radiance that is your soul. Oh my goodness, pile 2. That's incredible. I see that is the story of these cards, particularly for you. This is really, truly, like I said before we read this, about adversity, about growing through adversity, and really seeing things anew. I mean, the hope of this particular card here, with this beautiful stag, this white stag energy, it's like rebirth, it's growth, it's rebirth, it's all these things. And it's coming from a place where really we have been feeling like we have nothing. We have been without. I love that these figures worked out the way to get out of it. And it was to look around them. It was to grow and develop their own skills. And then it was to profit from that. In a very soulful way, not necessarily through monetary means, but I do see that with you here. It's partly why I'm less interested in the monetary means, although it could mean for some of us that this is to do with very, very solid financial security. But there's something actually more profound than just financial security in these cards, pile 2. It is about the security of yourself, really knowing who you are, really having understood yourself, really being with yourself on the journey to get there, this self-development journey, this spiritual growth, coming from a place where you felt alone and then you took yourself away and you got to know yourself better. So this consolation of isolation is about this growth of yourself, of you as an individual, of you working out who you are and how that relates to the rest of the world, and actually really making the best of it. Really making the best of it. I want to talk a little bit here about these last 2 cards, because before we ask for some advice from the Prisma Visions deck, there is also this theme of moving away and establishing oneself. And this is really exciting. It's really exciting. I see this this journey of growth, this journey of working through your own stuff to get to a developed goal. Like, I'm seeing you having a goal and achieving it. And I don't know what the goal is, because that's up to you. But I see that if this happens, if you do this inner work with yourself, it does lead to extraordinary things. And I can see that you, if it was something to do with business, for example, which I know it can be for many of us because of the way this is coming up, but I'm just not, I just want to be clear, it's not necessarily going to be as obvious as that. But for some of us, it will be very material. I can see that this is to do with moving on from where you're at right now and really establishing yourself as somebody who is in charge. Now, maybe that might be you own a business, or you're a CEO of a business, or you're just in a position of power. There's something here about power, and I feel that this is you. But it's also, for me, not just about that. There's also this incredible through line of you being in control of yourself, you being in control of your own domain, you being your own boss. And I don't know if that would be a literal way, possibly. Yeah, possibly be your literally the boss of yourself, but I'm really seeing it in quite a spiritual way. I see someone who's very self-possessed, someone who is very stable, very secure. It's quite a masculine energy, but it's not necessarily to do with that. But it is just this feeling of someone who's very safe, someone who's very established, someone who really understands who they are, what they do, why they're doing it. This is what I'm seeing in your future. And it's come because of this personal growth. It's come because you have been at a place where you felt like you could not do anything but grow, because it was such a low place to be that the only way was up, in a way. And part of that was also, part of this growth unlocked a new perspective for you of this idea that maybe before things felt really, really small and very insular. And something about this experience that we're having at the moment, this situation that we're in, that Spirit is talking to us about in these cards piled to, something about this experience unlocks something for you where your perspective just becomes so much more global, so much more about how small you are, how much room there really is to grow. And I feel like that's part of the reason this growth happens, that you step out of a certain place where you have been putting restrictions on yourself, and it develops you as a person. That's this natural growth period is beginning for you right now, and Spirit is talking to you about it. I don't know if it will happen soon, because I feel like it almost feels as if this is the situation where we're currently in, and this is the future that we have to look forward to. That's how the energy is coming out for me here. But it does feel like this winter is going to teach you something about yourself, about the theme of growth. And I would really encourage you to step into that and to really embrace that, and not to be frightened, and not to be coming from a place where there's a scarcity mindset, but really to actually open yourself up to learning new things and really learning more about yourself. I just want to have a little look as well about the toadstool and the growth card, because it's curious to me. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah, so no, so this is some of the speech from the writing from the book here on this toadstool card. It says here, beneath the surface of your life, miraculous changes are occurring. Something that you thought was ordinary is in fact remarkable. You are in a time of rapid spiritual and material growth. Get ready and hang on for the ride. That is exactly what I have just been trying to articulate for the majority of the reading. We have spirituality coming through here, you and yourself. And we also have material growth as well. And so this is partly why we have the boons, and we have the Pentacles card coming up here, and the Emperor card, to be honest. This is about material growth financially as well as spiritually. So it may even be that somehow your spiritual journey, this unlocking of yourself, maybe you're a bit more available, maybe you're a little bit more willing to be intimate with other people, and it sort of leads to lots more connections within yourself, and you're showing up more in your life. And that's just something that, you know, business type relationships would respond to. That's one way that this could work out. But generally, I'm really seeing this as a very intense personal journey for you that is beginning now. And it comes from a place where, I just want to articulate this clearly, it comes from a place where you really felt like you almost had nothing left to lose, and suddenly there is just this growth. And I think that's something about deciding not to be so protective of yourself, being vulnerable anymore, and actually opening up to people in a way that's much more authentic, much more available. People respond to that in you. And it leads to this adventure that you probably could not foresee at the moment in time that we're doing this reading. But there's so much going on here about profound changes going on in your life right now, pile 2, that I just cannot see how you will not be a completely different type of person after the end of this transformation. So this is wonderful. I want to take a few more cards to just see what advice we have coming up for you right now, pile 2. Any more advice for pile 2? Wow, I just fell on the ground. We have 6 of Cups coming in. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Pile 2, please. More advice, yes. 3 of Wands. And one more card for pile 2. Oh, 2. Interesting. Devil card, Justice card. Okay. Really interesting, pile 2. So there's 6 of Cups coming up here. I knew what this was about. This is about having more fun right now. And really appreciating what you have when it's there in front of you. Really taking some time to be grateful, to practice gratitude on a daily basis. It's going to be some of the ways that we start seeing the world in a different way. 3 of Wands is also slowly cultivating a creative practice on a daily level, on a daily basis. Dreaming, letting ourselves dream, but in small incremental steps. Planning ahead. The Devil card coming up here with the Justice card is interesting, and I feel like this is just a little bit of a touch of a warning, and it's in a much more practical way. You have a tendency to indulge darker impulses that don't help you in the long run, and Spirit is just reminding you about not falling into that trap of overindulgence in things like food or gambling, for example, or relationships that make you feel not great. Lots of basically anything that's a bad habit, or that makes you feel trapped and is not necessarily coming from a place of authenticity for you, something that is an indulgence. So anything that falls into those types of arenas. Addiction is also one of these things that the Devil card can talk about as well. So anybody who's binging a lot of Netflix or food or anything like that, this is a reminder that that's not the way to get back to ourselves again. With the Justice card as well, I'm seeing that you do need to be quite careful about legalities and things like business contracts, contracts of any description. Just making sure that there is no situations where you're slightly vulnerable, because these two came up together. That's why I'm saying make sure all your paperwork is in order. And I know that's a very practical piece of advice considering how profoundly, I don't know, spiritual today's reading was, but that's how it's showing up today for me with this. We have this, it makes sense. We have this side of this advice talking about the spirituality, the internal world, and our personal journey. And here we have something very practical and very external. So it makes sense that that's how it's showing up, but that's how it's showing up for you, pile 2. If you enjoyed this reading and it was resonating with you, please remember to subscribe. I will continue to upload. I would love to have you back here. But until then, pile 2, all the best of love and luck in the world. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I will see you soon. Bye. Hello, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. You chose the Maple Spirit and the card of Generosity here, along with the Carnelian Stone. So let's get into your reading. I am using the Into the Lonely Woods Oracle from Lucy Cavendish and Dan May, and I really love this deck. This is brand new for me. I love the way these cards feel. So let's get some indication of the situation for pile 3. It's this card here. Plight of the Wanderer. Let's get a closer look at this. This is so interesting, along with the Generosity card. We'll definitely be looking into the book at that. But first of all, I want to draw your tarot cards. I'm using the Forest I think the Enchanted Forest Tarot. Let's find out what's going on with pile 3, please. We have the Seeker of Challenges coming up for you, pile 3. This is really lovely. Oh, we have the Wild World. Oh my goodness. You have the Eight of Boons coming up. Pile 3, please. Thank you. Thank you. We have the Nine of Spells coming up. And we also have the Enchanter. I'm just going to take 2 more cards from the Prism of Visions tarot deck. Let's see, make sure you can see all of these cards. There we go. For pile 3, please. Thank you. Here's the Tower card. I'm going to show you that one. For pile 3, please. Oh my goodness. I feel like this might be... Oh my gosh. This just fell out of the deck again. This card has been with all 3 readings, I think, now. And I think the last time it came out, it fell out as well. So there's really a lot of theme going on in all of our readings today about really enjoying the moments of joy that come to us on the daily basis that we are living in. Every single day there are moments for us to really stop and appreciate where we are and how lucky we are to be there. Truly. No matter how difficult a situation is, there is always a chance to be grateful, and I want us to all remember that right now, because this card has come up so much tonight, today, and it needs to be said. It needs to be said. Let me take a sip of my tea. Pile 3, your cards are so beautiful. I want to take some time to sit with the energy of our oracle card here, the Plight of the Wanderer. Let's read from the book here because this is absolutely gorgeous. There may come a sleepless night when you must walk with your troubles until they feel larger than you can continue to carry. There will come a night when the journey has taken you so far that you feel the burdens of your needs must be laid down and you must free yourself from them. This card comes to you to say that you must know now that some of the troubles you carry are not yours. They do not belong to you, and yet you carry them. There will be a wise one who tells you to share some of these troubles for a time. They will help you know which to keep, which to learn from and remember, and which can be put aside, acknowledged as not yours to carry, and buried softly in the good earth to heal, change, and become part of the great all that is. Absolutely beautiful. I also want to double check a little bit about the Nine of Spells. Yep. There is a lot of maturity going on in these cards, pile 3. A lot of power in your cards. I feel that you're a very powerful person. And I feel like part of this card coming up here right now It's talking to somebody who, this generosity here, this is the way that you approach everything. You are someone who gives, gives, gives. And I think at the moment, Spirit is reminding you that you also need to make sure that your cup is filled before you're able to fill other people's. I see somebody who really likes fighting for other people, fighting for their corner. Someone who is almost unable to help themselves get involved in other people's struggle because you're such a generous person. But there's something going on here where it's kind of taking you away from your wider purpose. And that purpose is obviously to live your life in a way that makes you happy too. So there is something about a perspective shift going on in these cards. There's something about seeing the bigger picture coming up here. It's interesting, pile 3. Your cards out of all 3 of these readings are some of the more complicated cards. I feel like right now we're talking to people who have a lot of life experience. Now, it might not be that you have a physical age with that, but there's life experience here that speaks as if you do. Somebody who's their spirit is protecting other people, and it's just so part of you to be somebody who makes sure that other people have what they need. I would also I think quite a lot of you will be in a position of parenthood partly, and I would say long-term parenthood, so your children may even be adults now. Or you are someone who is showing up a certain way, as someone who is a protector of pretty much everybody that you come into contact with. And that doesn't need to be someone who's a parent or someone who's older, but it's easy to imagine that that can be the type of role that you play in people's lives. If not, I can see it happening in terms of someone who's very moral, someone who fights for the good fight. You are on the precipice of being burnt out if you're not careful about taking on more than your fair share of these burdens. And that is particularly why Spirit is talking to you tonight about this. It's not that it's close, it's that it could... It's not that it's close. It's not that it's close to happening. It's that it's like it. Okay. It's like you have a blind spot to how vulnerable you actually could be to getting burnt out and turn around. You have this little adjustment going on in the reading here with the Tower. That's telling me that you have a blind spot for how vulnerable you actually are. That you're not able to fight every single fight, even though you feel that you should be and you could be and you have done. It's just not for you to do that. And it is time to pull back a little bit, actually. Because I see someone who works really hard in these cards coming up, pile 3. I see someone who works really, really hard at what they do. I see bravery as well. I want to say that. I feel bravery coming from you. You're a fighter. It's you, and the strongest part of you for that is when you're fighting on other people's behalf. I wonder if you work in a charity sector, to be honest, or if you're someone who comes into contact with people who are quite vulnerable and you advocate on their behalf, because that's how it's coming across. And I am telling you that you have a blind spot in terms of your own vulnerability, and you need to look after yourself right now a little bit more than you have been. I feel like you're not used to that. I feel like you're not 100% used to taking that part of the slice of your day and making it devoted to your own well-being, but it is something that you do need to do, because strangely there's like a weak spot that is just not obvious and would not be obvious until it's too late. This is the tarot card. This is the tarot card really does just happen very suddenly, and we don't see it coming. We can't prepare for it, and we wouldn't be able to predict where it is. And this is partly why it's interesting it's here, because everything else going on in your cards is just almost unrelated to that energy, that it's me knowing that you have a blind spot. I want to have a little look at some of the other clues going on here, because I need a little bit of help to see what an overall message could be for you right now, pile 3. Because I feel like you're a very strong person. I don't feel like... It's very interesting what's going on here. Yeah. I mean, what I'm seeing is a master. You have 3 cards here that are to do with being a master at a certain type of skill. We have protection, we have providing, we have craft. We have somebody who is able to manifest a different world for other people and themselves. It's somebody who's very powerful, very wise. I do see you working in... Yeah, I do see you working in situations where you're able to really make a profound difference to other people's lives, which may actually make sense as to why you're in a place where you don't realize how vulnerable you can be sometimes. Let me see. Bear with me. Do you know what? I mean, sometimes it's just easy to say, you're carrying too much. At least if you're not careful, it will become clear that you're carrying too much. And then there does need to be a little bit of a step back in order for you to see the bigger picture. It's almost like you're a little bit too up in anything that's close going on around you, you're like very in control of. But things that are happening outside of that, it's almost like you can't quite get there. And I think this is why this card's coming up here. There's something about this perspective of yours needing to get a bit wider, and also in order to see yourself within the structure that you're living within. It's like you can only see other people right now and what they need, not actually what you need. And so this is why the Tower card's coming up here. This is actually really about you taking a break, which we've seen with the Six of Cups coming in different types of ways in everybody's reading, but with you it feels very much like, it's silly, but out of all of the other readings I've had today, this one here, this feels like you really need to take a break. Like, I mean, like a proper one, like a proper break. I don't know how to, you're not going to want to take it though. That's, I think, why I'm struggling to articulate it. It's almost like I can feel you're going, oh gosh, that's the last thing I need. That's how I can feel it. But it's the truth, you do. You're a little bit more threadbare than I think you're aware of. And I think when you stop and you notice it, it will be more obvious as to why and to what type of rest you really need. But this is what you do need. And I think when we were listening to this oracle card here, I didn't say it at the time, but I felt like there was an indication there that it could be time for you to seek some more professional advice to help you go through some of the deeper stuff. And it would be professional therapist or something in that type of realm to actually go through some of the effects that some of your work, I would say, or your lifestyle, something's going on there, is having an effect where you're feeling way too responsible for everybody else's stuff, and it's just not sustainable. It's just not sustainable, pile 3. So I want to, with that bombshell, I want to look at the Prisma Visions for advice for pile 3 a little bit, just to leave off on. I feel like I've been quite clear with my advice up until this point. Yeah, generosity's coming up again, pile 3. Yeah, I'm really feeling it. Things are not what they seem. Pile 3, please. Pile 3, thank you. King of Wands. Okay, pile 3. Giving yourself some time does not mean that you are giving up forever. There seems to be a little bit of a fear here that if you give up, you'll stop forever. I don't think that's true. I think, if anything, giving yourself time to rest, recuperate, let other people take the reins for a while actually leads to you being a lot more stronger than you currently are. It leads to you being able to help people even more than you could before, which is ultimately, I think, your driving force, is to provide for others. But you're almost unable to take the break, partly because you're so... I think personally that you're worried about what happens when you do take that space. You're worried about what fills that space when it's there. But there's a graduation that happens. It's from this to this. You're in a more profound position taking this break, pile 3. You're able to do what you could do before, but better. And it comes from a place of things are not necessarily what they seem right now. So trust that the break is a good thing, even if it feels like it's not. And trust that because of the break, you may actually find that the weak spots are more obvious and you can solve them before anything else happens. Because there's something that you're missing here, something that you're not aware of. And I don't know what that could be. It could just be how tired you actually are. Once you stop, you might realize that. But the generosity card's coming up again. This is not you being generous to other people. This is actually you being generous to yourself. That's how I'm seeing it right now. That's how it's coming across to me. It is time for you to take that moment, that rest for yourself, so that you can actually show up even better than before. And it does not need you to be frightened about that. If anything, it's going to lead you to become a lot stronger for a lot longer. And you will be able to complete and continue on this purpose that you obviously have, that primarily seems to be about helping other people and guiding other people and serving other people. And it's work that is important. But it does need you to take a break, pile 3. It's time, okay? So pile 3, this was your reading. If you were resonating with any of the reading, then please remember to subscribe, because I do more readings and I would love to have you come and see more of my readings. But until then, I'll see you later, pile 3. Bye.